Good afternoon, my name is Gilbert Bates. I welcome you to episode 12 of the series of videos I'm doing on the 3 levels of mind, which is a concept that it's not widely known, there's only a few hundred or perhaps a few thousand people in the world that understand what it is. In previous episodes I've tried to use this, or I have used this, to try and get people to understand what I'm talking about, but that's had limited success. So I came up with this idea to make up a model, what I call the modules of the human brain, the 3 modules that make up the human brain. And it's important to, I think it's important to understand the brain within its 3 modules, not as just one conglomerate working like that, but as view it as 3 separate modules. So the first module is our cognitive brain. Now that's only about 1/10 of our brain's capacity, and that's where we are. All psychologists and psychiatrists are using their intellectual part of their brain to understand what mental disease is or mental problems are, when in actual fact they're all down here. So they can't. So they're struggling with understanding what the causes are of mental disease, and then struggling to find cures because they don't particularly understand it. So a professor of psychology or psychiatry is only dealing in about 10% of the brain. So I'm going to accuse those people of becoming professors and only knowing about 10% of how the brain works. The next module of the brain is the feelings. What are the feelings? And you can see the connections here, the connections we have to the intellectual part of the brain. We all think we know what feelings are, but in Janov Primal Therapy, that's the first thing we do, is to make a connection between the cognitive mind and the feeling mind. Not many people in this day and age have that connection. We talk about emotions and whatever else, but we're doing it from an intellectual viewpoint. What Primal Therapy does is gets that connection between the cognition and the feeling brain. And when we understand our feelings, we can act on that. Now, sitting underneath the feeling brain is the third layer, or the base layer of the brain. Now, this is the most important part of the brain. It's probably nearly half of our abilities to survive as humans. And we have to think of this part of the brain as that we started off as a single cell organism or something at the bottom of the ocean, and we evolved from that. And we evolved from that single cell up to quite a solid module like that sits at the base of who we are as humans, and we simply don't understand that because it's there for everybody to see in various ways, but we don't understand the action it has on our lives. So that's what I want to stress with the three layers of mind. The sit like that. The sensations are the most important. The thing about the sensations are that they are experience dependent. They're not in cognition. You can read a book or attend a lecture to get the knowledge. In this, you have to actually experience what they are. For me, my childhood was not very good. So my experience was that my parents didn't love me, and for various reasons. So the imprinting in here was not so good. People need to be loved, and we need to understand what love is. So that means this module, in my mind, was faulty. And that happens to a lot of people around the world. So when you put these other modules on, the feeling modules, well, your feelings are going to be faulty as well, because what's in that part of the brain is fed up into your feelings, and then how you're feeling, whether you're feeling not so good or whether you're happy, depends on what's imprinted in the lower module. And then, depending on what happens with our feelings, is how we act and talk in this module, and that's what we don't understand. We need to understand then how we view this part of the world is driven by what's down here, and that naturally occur. This is our evolutionary survival mechanism. When we want to heal, both physically and mental, we need to go down here and clean out the trauma or the primal pain that's in here. And for me, that was my journey through primal therapy. Now, the trouble is with this module is that it's 2 steps removed from this module. I'll explain it like this. The first step in primal therapy is to do the connection like that. So we connect the cognitive to the feeling. And that's a strange thing to happen for some people, or for most people, because we don't know how to do that. And so we've got this gap. And so we don't understand our feelings fully. But that's made even more confusing because we don't understand the next layer. There's a gap between feelings and that layer as well. So we're 2 steps removed from understanding what this is. And that's the problem with it causes a lot of humanity's problems, like we have in wars, religions are fighting amongst each other. We need to understand all those things from this level of the mind. And a lot of my videos in the future will be more about that, about describing how that's how we get disease by not getting a proper impulse in the lower part of our brain. Now I'm going to this is Jack Panksepp. He was a favourite of mine. I've read a few of his books. He was a scientist that understood about this, and he says, without an accurate developmental history of troubled minds, coordinated with the recognition of the primal emotional powers of the lowest ancestral regions of the human brain, therapists will be lost in their attempt to restore psychological balance. I'll just repeat that last bit again. Recognition of a primal emotional powers, which are down here, our primal emotional powers, of the lowest ancestral regions of the human brain, therapists will be lost in their attempts to restore psychological balance. And I say that's where we are now. Therapists can't restore psychological balance because they don't understand this part of the brain. And that's Jack Panksepp. He's deceased now, but he writes a book on about the low parts of the brain. But we need more research on this. I take this to universities and I take it to some journalists to try and get some voice and some traction in proving this. But the universities are still here in their intellectual mind, and they really don't understand feelings. So when I talk to them about this level of the mind, they have no idea what I'm talking about. So if you're having mental health problems, next time you go to your mental health professional, ask him to talk to you about the lower level of your mind, in the brainstem. Talk about that part where all your problems really lie. Now I'm just going to check my cheat sheet. The other part of this is it's where love originates, and it's where our ethics and our morals are strongly ingrained in our psyche. But because we are not connected to them, because we suffer primal pain and these parts aren't imprinted correct, they're not imprinted with love, they're imprinted with lack of love. My parents didn't like me, and my father was violent, so I had anxiety problems. That's all down here. So we need to understand that the human situation now is we're having troubles with our ethics and our morals, with the way we treat other people and the way we have wars and all that type of stuff. It's because we can't feel. We can't feel what we're doing. We've got rid of this. We don't attach to that module either. We're not attaching the feeling module to the problem so that we can understand what it is in our intellectual mind. That's the problem. We need all those modules. We need to understand all those modules in that context, and we just won't get anywhere in this world until we understand that. Now I'm going to read another one from John Middendorf, who obviously I believe what he's saying, and I think it's a good something to read for you to understand. It's not just me that thinks this, but other people are too. I think any species that has the ability to transverse the cosmos would certainly have matured far beyond political and religious dogmas that cause so much suffering and conflicts. So there we are, religious and political dogmas that come from here. They have their basis in here, and then rather than feel those conflicts, we come up with belief systems to stop feeling that pain. So we need to get beyond that. If we're going to evolve beyond that, we need to understand this so that we can get rid of our suffering and our conflicts, have better human relationships too. This is where human relationships start to get. I haven't had very good relationships in my life because I was so damaged here that I had no idea what a good relationship was. So I'm going to call this the paradigm we operate under now is a 2-level down paradigm where we have cognition and we're trying to understand feelings and we can't go any deeper. Janov Primal Therapy tells us that it's the 3-level up paradigm. So we're changing from the 2-level down paradigm and we need to turn everything upside down for a three levels up paradigm, meaning that the energy comes up from whatever's stored in this part of the brain up through these nerve pathways into our feelings, and our feelings make us, it's heaven on earth or it's hell on earth, depending on how this is imprinted, and then we experience that in our cognitive mind. That's the 3 levels up paradigm. Now, I think that's a very, very important paradigm. Before I get to that, I want to also say that this red area is so profound that it's our spirituality. And if you want to understand that, read anybody's near-death experience. There's a lot of people that have near-death experiences. Read what they say and they'll explain to you what this level of mind is. It's near-death experiences. You take those away and you just experience this part of your brain. And that's your spiritual part, your near-death experience. That's how powerful it is. Now, I told you that I've been to journalists and universities, and it's so far removed from them that they don't even know what I'm talking about. So I hope I'm getting through to the visitors, especially if you have any mental health disorders that help. So I just want you to have a look at this. Where 2,000 years ago we come along with Jesus, and he was talking about love. And then in our 2,000 years since, we've had a religious area of mind, which is really only a belief system in that part of our mind. So what we need to do now, in the new paradigm of 2024, we need an entire new paradigm to move forward in our life. And the way to do that is the 3-level up paradigm, where this is our spirituality, the foundations of who we are, then we can have good feelings, and then our mind is clear to go into the future. And as Mr. O'Donoghue says, we can go into a future where we've matured far beyond political and religious dogmas that cause so much suffering and conflicts. So I hope that that's made things clearer for you. And I will be talking more about disease states as it refers to the 3 levels of mind. Thanks very much for listening, and just spread the word. If you've got any questions, I would like to start a conversation. Ask some questions in the comments below, and I'll try and answer them. I have nothing to hide. This will be proven by science one day, and it won't take much to prove it because a lot of the evidence is already there. It's just that they've got a 2-level down paradigm in which you can't fit much true evidence. It's got to be a paradigm with the 3 levels up, and then most of the research they're doing now fits better in the 3 levels up paradigm. We just need universities to grasp that and go with it, and that'll create a lot better future for humanity. So try and spread the word. I encourage you to spread the word.